Hello everyone, welcome back to our next Kitbash showcase video. Now for some of you this might be a little bit unexpected. You know me as the guy with the all crew army, maybe you know me as the guy with the World Eater army. You certainly don't know me as the guy with the Ork army. That's because I don't have an Ork army. What I do have is one big ass Ork model. Why do I have one big ass Ork model? Well, I've always liked the Orks. I mean, everybody in the world likes Orks. I've never wanted an Ork army though. What I did always want was a custom Stompa. I just thought it seemed like such a fun thing to do, such a fun idea to build your own giant scrap mech creation. And reading books like Hell's Reach and stuff, like they just seem so cool in the lore. And they seem like such a fun idea to do. So I've always wanted to do this. I've just never had a reason to, and I still don't. I guess the closest thing to a reason you could have is that I do have a friend that plays Orks and he does not have a Stompa, so I can now loan him my Stompa. So, reasons aside, my thoughts going forward with the Stompa build basically were that you know, in the lore, there are these unstoppable stomping monsters, and while I do like the GW one, have that pop up now, it just doesn't, like, it does, you know, Orks are kind of silly, you know, regardless, but, like, it doesn't even seem like this thing could walk. Like, it's got, like, a giant metal skirt, like, how's it gonna walk through a city? Like, it doesn't seem, like, feasible at all, even by Ork standards, so I just wanted something that looked like it could walk a little bit better, and I'd hemmed and hawed and toyed around with lots of ideas, everything from converting knights to like sticking a knight and a Gorkanaut together and like building from there, to like completely doing it from scratch, to using a toy, all these things. And then I saw an idea on Instagram, and I'm forgetting the user, so if anybody knows, feel free to shout him out in the comments, because I tried to find him and I couldn't find it, because I don't think I follow him. I think I just saw it like a year ago or something. But what he'd done was he'd taken the normal Stompa kit and he'd taken that kind of silly body shape and flipped it. And what he actually ended up doing was he didn't use the normal head at all. He took that like chest plate, that like skull chest plate, and he bumped that up and kind of used that as a head, if I remember right. And then he kind of like scratch built legs out the bottom where the arms normally would attach, and yeah, just kind of went from there. So with that in mind, I just always kind of have been on the lookout for a good deal on a used, you know, broken shitty Stompa, because I knew I was going to end up ripping it apart anyway. And like I always tell people, check those different Facebook buy-sell groups. You'll eventually find a good deal there. So I came across a guy that was selling a used Stompa, and I'll hopefully have that pic pop up right now. As you can see, this thing was in pretty bad shape. It was missing like a lot of parts, but he gave me a good deal on it and threw in some extra things, and so I was totally fine with that because I was ripping it apart anyway. So it came, and like I said, it was missing a fair few things and whatever, but so I immediately got to work. It did still have the normal head attached. I guess it would have been attached down there. And actually, hold on one second. Before I get too far into the build, I'll do a size comparison. I think that will be useful for you guys to really appreciate how big this thing is. So I'll take I've got literally owned like 5 other Ork models, but this is one probably a lot of people will recognize. It's a Luda. Luda is, you know, like a standard boy sized model. So let's put him down there. Yeah, awful small down there in between his legs. We got a Imperial Knight Armiger over here, barely up to, I guess that would be like his hip or whatever. And then this would probably be the most helpful for everybody. We've got an actual Imperial Knight, and the Imperial Knight is about as tall as his chest gun. So he is a big boy, as he should be. You know, in the game he's a 40 wound model, That's a 26 wound model or 24 wound model. So it seems appropriate that he's like almost twice as big. So move these guys out of the way so I can show you the Stompa a little bit better. But yeah, so anyways, the first thing I had to get to do was removing the original head, and that was really hard. I actually had to use the drill a bit to get it out. And anyways, so I eventually got that out. Took off what was there of the arms and whatever, and let's move down here. The first thing I had to do was fill in that hole. So I just took, I don't know if it's going to want to focus on me. There we go. Just took a piece of plastic card and sealed that up and painted over it, and I think that looks fine. Just looks like a, you know, a piece of metal that the Orks are using. And what I actually did was I took the old head, and that is the joint on his arm here. This joint here, this thing here is the old head. So you can see how much smaller that is to the one I created here. And just kind of as I'm talking, I'll have took lots of work in progress pictures, and if you're on my Patreon, you will have seen those already. I post everything there. So as I was working on this guy, kind of behind the scenes, I was posting lots of pictures up there, showing what I was working on. And but yeah, so I knew as soon as I flipped it over, you've got such a massive base for where the head's going to be that it had to be a lot bigger than that. So yeah, so I used that as the arm joint because I knew I also wanted the arm to be bigger and longer. And I completely scratch built this head. Now I don't know how well I'll be able to, because the thing is, I have a friend who's a Space Marine player and also a Guard player, so he just has the biggest, most ridiculous pile of bits you've ever seen, from tanks, aircraft, whatever. I know some of the parts in there are from Space Marine flyers, like the Storm Talon gunships, and I know some of them are from things like Baneblades and Lehman Russes, but I honestly couldn't tell you what's what 100%. Like his whole grin here is like little chunks of metal from all over the place. Like there's, I don't know, half a dozen pieces of metal in there. His whole head is just completely scrap built. As I said, I'll have work in progress pictures popping up. The gun on his head is from an Invictor war suit, I believe, and I did magnetize that so that I can be really cool in my games and be like pew 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 and rotate it around. I just thought that was funny. And this is something from my work again. It's just like a scrap piece of plastic tubing. But yeah, and the horns are from the actual Stompa kit. But so yeah, so we completely scratch built this. It is actually mounted on, I know this is the piece from the Baneblade. This thing that it's mounted on here is from the Baneblade turret, the Guard Super Heavy tank. So yeah, actually the first thing I did was build the head. So we built the head, we attached this there. This is very securely attached. What I did was I drilled into the body and used just a piece of brass, like a brass rod or whatever, drilled into the head and then drilled into the body, and then green stuffed in the middle. Oh, that random little piece is wanting to fall off at me. That's fine though, because it's Orks. So it's attached on the inside and attached on this side, because the whole top, I was able to detach that no problem. So that was, I could work on the inside with that off, which was nice. This is mostly the normal Stompa arm. I bulked it out with some extra armor, and then these are like extra pieces of sprue and extra pieces of armor and stuff on the sides just to make it a little bit thicker, because I knew I wanted to make his weapon bigger. The chain blade just seemed like a little bit short, and I was going to actually lengthen it, but then instead I was like, well, Orks don't even really use swords that much. It's more claws and things. So I was like, what if I made a big claw bit for it instead, and it's just this big like, you know, thing. So that's what I did. Again, I'm not sure. Actually, I think that this was a piece off of a scrapped old rhino, and then I'm not sure what this was from. I think this is actually a couple little pieces here all attached together, but again, this is all made pretty secure. Some of these bigger wires you see, those are old damaged airlines, again from my work, just like scrap ones from the trash. And I streamed that part of the build, and they went on pretty well. There's another one down here on his leg. So that's how the arm and the head was made. This gun here, also magnetized, just for ease of transport. You can see I didn't glue this top part yet, so it's a little bit because it wants to catch on the saw there, but I can take that all off. And the reason for that is because I have a crazy idea that at some point I might put some LED lights in this thing and have that eye glow, so I just left that off for now. But yeah, so this is magnetized. This is mostly the main Stompa gun, but as it was, was missing a couple pieces, I kind of improvised some things. I added an extra little shooter up here. These are extra missiles from a knight. I added some green stuff there just to bulk that out. I added this bit here to act as like you know, an ammo canister, whatever. And I'm actually really happy with how this turned out. It was my first time ever using the airbrush. It saved so much time and effort. I was able to, like, this whole thing took me like, I don't know, maybe like 6 hours total to like paint completely, and that's not even like working that fast. And obviously I like doing checkers and stuff, that takes a while. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. And as I said, yeah, so that's just the normal Stompa gun with a couple little add-ons because it was missing some pieces, and it's magnetized so you can rotate that around. Added an extra little shooter here. I'm not sure what that's from. I left quite a bit of room up there so that, like, if he's transporting people in game, you can stick a couple guys up there and have it look cool. That light, I think, is off the guard super heavy. We've got some extra, we've added just a bunch of little missiles all over the place. These are from various different guard things, and I think some of them are orc things. Some extra lights. We've got another little shooter down here that moves, again, just cause, like, this thing moved anyway, so when I glued it on I just left it that way. These lights, the lights are from a Gene Stealer Cult's Goliath Rock Grinder. Again, this gun is I think both these cannons here are from guard things. This one I magnetized too. I don't even know why I did this. Oh, I think it was because I had in my head that, like, oh, I should be able to interchange between a Stompa and a Kustom Stompa, and the Kustom Stompa is the one that has this belly gun. But thinking about it now, like, it really doesn't matter, and it just kind of looks silly with the magnet there, so we can just leave that on. Oh, I guess if you're in game, that might catch on like some terrain at some point, so it might be easier to just leave it off. But that is magnetized for not really any reason. As you can see, I've done some graffiti, some orc graffiti on some of the guns. Oh, why is that going so bright? There we go. Got boom, more checkers. I wrote Daka Daka on the gun up here. It's more little shooter. Oh, the Stompa has a flamer, so there's a little flamer down here. Now, so the most important part of the build, like I said, was to make it look like he could actually walk a little bit. And obviously, you know, again, it's Orks, it's silly, it doesn't have to be perfect, but so what I did was, these are the normal Stompa feet. Again, this one was missing a little part, so I just glued a random little piece of scrap on there. And then so the feet end right about here, because they literally, like I said, like if you saw that picture of the Stompa, it's like almost like a metal skirt, and you can just see like his ankles under it. It's really quite silly looking. But so what these are is they're just some plastic tubing going up to about here, and then some random other scrap bits and whatever. I made like a makeshift little like joint, and then drilled into the body on either sides to make it pretty secure. And then just went to town building it up with random pieces of scrap from, as I said, there's guard things, there's Space Marine things. Just covered it in different armored plates and whatever to really bulk it out. And yeah, I think it turned out not too bad. Like, definitely looks like he could be more mobile than the standard Stompa. Yeah. Oh, last thing, of course. I don't really know why I felt I needed this, but I was like, I just have this extra scrap Space Marine Dreadnought lying around. And I'm like, wouldn't it be cool if they rammed some spikes through him and used him just to fling him around at people? So we've got that hanging out as well. Again, that was done on stream as well, if you'd like to see me do it. It was kind of a pain as well. That's a little bit from a Caradron Overlord ship. Had to again drill into the body and put a whole bunch of green stuff in there to hold it all together, because between this is a real metal chain, so between the chain and the dreadnought, it's a pretty heavy thing to just have dangling around. I wouldn't try to do it with just glue, but with the green stuff it was pretty good. So yeah, there is my custom Stompa. As I said, this is kind of like a one-off thing. I genuinely don't think I have the room to do an orc army, but it's just something I always wanted, and it was a ton of fun to build and paint. Yeah, as I said, don't worry. I'm not quitting Kroot. I'm not quitting Chaos World Eaters. It's just something I've always wanted to own, and it was a lot of fun to do. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed seeing that. I said as I was talking, I hope I had all the work in progress things popping up that people would have already seen from Patreon, but obviously the rest of you guys haven't seen those yet, as I've been working away at this thing. Yeah, and there might be, in the future there might be more kind of one-off projects like this here and there, and I'm always open to suggestions or ideas or things you think I could do cool or you'd like to see me do. And yeah, thanks for watching. Bye for now.